7:25, we've been following closely on BBC Radio Northampton the future of the Silverstone race circuit. A couple of weeks ago, two potential bidders for Silverstone walked away from talks, who were told, raising fears for the future of the circuit. But both Jaguar Land Rover, JLR, and the entrepreneur Lawrence Tomlinson, who owns the Ginetta car company, gave up on securing deals which could inject much-needed funding into the owner of Silverstone, the British Racing Drivers Club, BRDC. Well, now it seems that there is a new bidder on the block, a consortium of investors from Russia, led by the former chairman of Silverstone, Neil England, and they're understood to be now in exclusive talks about buying Silverstone. Let's hear from motor journalist Christian Sylt. Christian, good morning. What's the latest on this then?
Well, I mean, it's certainly a new development, the fact that apparently there are Russian investors. I mean, as you're probably aware, there have been multiple bidders in the running for Silverstone over the past few months. We had Jaguar Land Rover, which ended up pulling out due to a possible veto from its rival Porsche, which operates a driving centre on the track at Silverstone. We have the company called Motorsport Vision, which owns and operates Brands Hatch in Kent, and they are a reserve bidder, which is interesting because you might have thought, given their experience, they'd be a front runner, but they're a reserve bidder. And then we had an individual called Lawrence Tomlinson, who owns the sports car manufacturer Ginetta, who ended up pulling out due to delays in the bidding process. So there's this unnamed bidder, which the British Racing Drivers Club, the owner of Silverstone, they've not actually confirmed who it is. At their AGM, which I believe was 30th of September, they simply announced that there was an unnamed bidder in the fray. And in the past, I think, 10 days, it's been confirmed, the British Racing Drivers Club has confirmed to members of the club that the unnamed bidder is in exclusive talks with the club about buying a lease on Silverstone, and my sources tell me it's a consortium of Russian investors.
Headed by Neil England?
Interestingly enough, yes, and I spoke to Neil, I think it was Friday, and I put this to him, and he certainly didn't deny it, but he wouldn't confirm it. So make of that what you will.
Now, I gather that you reported on this in the Daily Telegraph this morning, Christian. I gather from your report that members of BRDC, the British Racing Drivers Club, the owners of Silverstone, they're not 100% happy with this development. Is that right?
Interestingly enough, indeed. I think the key problem, as I understand it from the members, is that they feel as if, or certain members I've spoken to feel as if they have credible bidders already in the wings in the form of Motorsport Vision, the operator of Brands Hatch, and Lawrence Tomlinson, who owns Ginetta and has a significant standing through that company in motorsport. So I think the members are basically confused as to why a third party would be given preferred exclusive status and not even be in a position where the BRDC is prepared to name who they are.
And so they're calling, your report suggests they're calling for an extraordinary general meeting. Is that likely to happen, do you think?
Well, that's the eternal question. I mean, I think there is a feeling, certainly in the higher echelons of the membership, because one of the sources I spoke to is a very senior and incredibly credible member of the British automotive industry, and I mean, he was suggesting to me that certainly that the fellow members that he's spoken to, that the feeling is that it's push is coming to shove, and as you probably know, I'm sure you know, I mean, this sale process has been dragging on for more than 5 years. I mean, it really
Indeed it has, yes.
It doesn't make sense that it's continued so long without any definite progress. I mean, so I kind of, now is the time really, if they're going to call an AGM, I think now is the time.
And motorsport fans will be concerned about this development insofar as there's yet more uncertainty now. Will that concern also, do you think, filter to Formula One and Bernie Ecclestone? I mean, will they be so anxious about it that there might be a threat to the British Grand Prix, or is that just too much of a scare story?
I mean, I don't actually think it is a scare story. I mean, this was the discussion that I was having with the member on Friday. I mean, I think it is getting into the position where the race could be at risk, because the bottom line is that there's no suggestion that the BRDC is running out of money. Although you may remember that we I wrote relatively recently, it had only £9,000 in the bank in terms of cash in the bank at the end of last year. And I mean, they're managing to survive on advance ticket sales. There's no suggestion it's running out of money, but that said, the bottom line is the BRDC themselves have articulated the fact that they can't go on, at least they feel as if they can't go on as they are. So they're either looking to get in an external investor or do deals with other partners with selling off parts of land around the track to other smaller investors. So something needs to be done to keep it going. And I mean, I think it's a matter of the question is how long can they keep on putting it off for? And that's where the impression I'm getting is push is very shortly coming to shove.
Christian, thank you very much indeed. Formula One journalist Christian Sylt